Hey, welcome back to Addicted to the Q. I am Brian, Sofa King. We've got the bum, Mr. Second String QB, and our special guest, Dan Wright with Take It Easy Barbecue. How you doing,
Woohoo!
Dan?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, good. Glad you could join us.
Yeah,
So
thanks for having me on.
last year was last year your first year in Masters, or have you always been a Masters team?
This is my third season.
Yeah, but last year, that's when I met you, was last year.
Yep, yeah, I've always cooked four meats.
Okay. So we're a third year now into it. Never did backyard barbecue at all, just the two meats. Dang,
Uh,
you
For
nope,
me.
yeah,
four
yep,
meats.
yeah, went right into four meats. Yeah,
Yeah, that's you've been on a roll.
yeah, yeah. It's been a year, but it's still early, so hopefully we
Yeah,
keep.
yeah.
Well,
So
what,
so. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
well, I was just gonna say. So, what? I mean, it's always interesting. Everybody asks everything, but what drew you to this overpriced, crazy thing that we do of burning meat in a parking lot? What drew you to competition barbecue? Was it a person? Was it something you saw? Just what? What drew you in there, Dan?
So I actually got into competition barbecue from a conversation at the local Home Depot. So
That's a
this was
first.
Yeah, so this was basically 4 years ago. I remember being at Home Depot and I was probably buying a bag of pellets or buying a you know two bag of some briquettes or something from a major brand. And anyways, I had it in the cart and one of the employees just happened to say, kind of ask me some questions about, oh, what are you barbecuing, this and that. And he goes, oh, hey, by the way, did you know that there's a St. Louis Barbecue Society? And I said, no, I'd never heard of it before. He goes, oh man, he goes, you should check it out. He goes, you could sign up to being judge and you could eat barbecue for free. I said, well, hell, that sounds great. So I went right on the website, and sure enough, a couple months later, they had a judging class here locally at West County Lanes here in St. Louis. And anyways, I went to the class, and we had some pretty cool teams cooking the food for the judge class. Josh Hess with Hess Hogs 4 was actually cooking the chicken legs, and
Yeah.
then Danny V and Nathan Harrison with coming in hot.
Oh,
STL, they did brisket and ribs, and then Big Boots Barbecue we're doing the
oh,
pork.
boots.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
Yep.
we had some good barbecue that day, and learned how to judge. And next thing I knew, I was pretty much judging every SLBS contest for the remainder of the year. Plus, started judging some backyards when we had some contests that had both. I would judge
Yeah.
master, judge backyard, which let me tell you, it's a lot of food. Um, and then at the end of the year, I went to the awards banquet. I just wanted to kind of be a part of it, right? I had started to have a relationship with some of the teams and just kind of making buddies, because I would always walk around after every contest and kind of shake everybody's hand. And um, anyways, lo and behold, my name got called for a raffle, and I actually won an entry to a contest. And I was a little confused, and come to find out, Mr. Danny V from Coming in Hot actually put my name. And I actually ended up winning two contest entries at the awards banquet at the end of the year. So here I am, had judged probably 12 contests at this point, never cooked competitively, and I had two free entries. So um, St. Louis Barbecue Society actually had a thing also called Rookie of the Year. And what they did was they took your four best contests, and that was kind of your, for your Rookie of the Year score. So I already had two free entries. Well, I'm going to do four because I want to do the Rookie of the Year contest. And little did I know that actually turned into 20 contests that year.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness. First
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, turned into 20 contests. So, we did some unsanctioned stuff. We did SLBS. We did the Clinton County organization, the meat provided
Yeah.
organization over in Illinois. And so kind of between the unsanctioned and those two, yeah, we end up running 20 contests. And we were definitely stuck after our third contest in. We grand champion the Clinton County contest, Greenville, out of 27 teams with the first place rib. And I think that was probably the last time I was on this podcast, was with Calvin shortly after that win. um,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it started with judging, then Danny V with a little bit of uh, you know trickery in, into the raffles. And yeah, here we are now. I'm a third year team, and you know catching some good tables right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you start with the drums in the trailer, or were you back of the truck cooking, tenting, all that stuff when you started?
No, so I was a utility trailer hauling on the back of a minivan, kind of like a Josh Hess, but not a. And yeah, on drums, we got homemade drums that were handed down to us from Rick Stevie within the Red Zone Barbecue.
Oh, Rick's awesome. Yep.
We got some homemades from him that were, red and yellow chief colors. And then I actually went out to Hunsaker and I built a drum there for his build your drum thing that he did. So that was the 4 drums that I ran, that entire year. We basically brought 2 10x10 canopies that I bought at Academy Sports, 10 legs, and a couple tables and a Cambro, and yeah, somehow did 20 contests and won a couple contests over in Clinton County. And I think that year we ended up winning Rookie of the Year in St. Louis, 3rd in chicken overall, and I believe 5th in pork. So it was a good year. Then last year I ended up buying a little small cargo trailer that was barely a 6-foot ceiling. That would work for bum, but it was a little tight for me. But we got it done without air conditioning. I actually ended up cooking 30 contests last year.
Damn.
And yeah, I think it was over 5 different sanctioning bodies. So I cooked some Clinton County contests, St. Louis Barbecue Society. I dipped my toes into some KCBS stuff. I actually ended up cooking a couple rib cook-off associations as well. And then I actually started dipping my toes into SCA. So last year I was trying to just cook anything and everything. I just wanted to see what would happen, and got lucky at a lot of those contests, and so it's kind of just propelled into this crazy season. I don't even know what's going to happen now.
Man, that's you're having fun though. That's obvious. I mean, I know that time I got to see you last year in St. Louis. We had a few beers chatting, and I can tell you're having fun with it, and that's what matters, man. That's what matters.
So my big question is, to do 30 contests in 1 year, when did you invest into Bitcoin?
So, I mean, I did have some Bitcoin. I sold some of it off to buy my current trailer, but not a ton of it. So, thankfully with some success, obviously, right, comes a little bit of return, and my goal is to at least pay into the next one. Some of the end of the year, the end of the year payouts from Team of the Year and things like that obviously help as well. And then I am fortunate enough to have, a few sponsors that, kind of help me on that backside. And, I, probably, I do a lot less in my personal life because of it too.
Yep. I want to touch a little bit, and I don't know, Brian, if you've had anybody on from there, but talk about the Clinton County events, because that's a unique organization. I know the guys that got it going. I've always wanted to go over and cook one. They just don't work with my weekends, because obviously they're all a little bit further. But talk about the Clinton County Barbecue Society and the events that they do, and just I guess go through that a little bit.
Yeah, so Clinton County was founded, to kind of create an equal space for all to compete. It was originally kind of an open series where the equalizer was, that meat was provided. So, it wasn't that I could afford a Wagyu and you could only afford a choice. It was that, we all got the same, right? Everybody got, most of the time, if they cook brisket, it was a choice. You get 3 or 4 racks of ribs. Sometimes, Cordy Meats would sometimes provide the ribs, and we'd get some, Prairie Fresh Primes or some naturals. And, sometimes they'd get it from, a couple other local butchers, or they'd even get it from their local IGA, right? It just kind of depended on whatever city it was in. But at the end of the day, the organization was to help other organizations raise money. So a lot of times it was with VFW halls, with Legion halls, whether it was school or something like that. A lot of the contests were, part of some type of, like I said, other organization.
Yeah.
And on top of the meat provided aspect, there was also a people's choice aspect. So that's generally how those organizers would make money is they would sell wristbands, 10, 15, $20. And then those individuals would get to go around and taste all the meat from all of the teams. So, so we actually ended up when we would cook over there, chicken was always chicken wings, right? Like you know, you're not going to make us cook 100 thighs. You're going to make us cook 100 chicken, right? So so had to learn how to cook some wings, you know, and quickly realized that you don't put drummies in the box if you don't have to. So you know, was running some wings and you know ribs. You know, it was typically wings, ribs, pork, and then occasionally brisket. So again, the whole idea was this equalizer of this provided meat. You know, and over the last several years, you know that organization, you know, has kind of gone through some overhaul. You know, I was on the board for a very short period, and you know, it right now it's just kind of it's headed down its own path. I will not be competing much over there this year. I will be doing a contest. I will be cooking one of their contests this year. That's in Newton, Illinois. For anybody that's interested in that, actually, Jim Messina from Messing Around Barbecue, that I believe you guys, you know, are affiliated with. You know, that's actually the contest that he's running. So I went out there last year. Great contest. You know, I like Jim a lot. Just want to support him. But but as you know, as far as the society, I think they're kind of regrouping. You know, they want to bring, you know, more of those true backyarders back out. You know, there were comments that, you know, when trailers like take it easy pulling the lot, that nobody really wants to, you know, cook. So anyways, you know, another day for that. But you know, it's a great organization. I really, you know, I definitely stand by the mission statement and definitely, you know, definitely wish it well. There's definitely a place for that type of organization. The biggest thing is the people's choice, right? A lot of us KCBS guys or SLBS guys, we don't, you know, a lot of guys don't want to deal with the people's choice stuff. You know, like I know, you know, for this weekend, the KCBS Invitational, I'm going down there to cook the Wells Cup. And they're doing a people's choice on Saturday, pork butt. They're going to provide you the pork butt, but like turn ins at 10:30 on Saturday, you know. And so like they had sent out, I think Rod Gray had sent out another email saying, hey, look, like I really need some teams for this. And, you know, I mean, me being the guy that I am, I'm like, all right, man, like, what do you need? You know, and he's like, and, you know, I really need somebody to do this. I'm like, you know what? Like, if I can get the pork butt on Friday, I'll knock it out. So, I'm gonna, you know, so I, you know, put in my name for it, and you know, I mean, people's choice, like that's how these organizers, like that's how they can help make their money back, right? Like this stuff has blown out so bad, you know. I hope that somehow organizers can figure out a way, whether it's through sponsorship or people's choice or something, and us as teams, right? We got to be able to help them too, kind of get some money back in to continue to run these contests. You know, I was at a contest earlier this year where the organizer basically told me that, you know, they expect their budget to be heavily cut next year, and asked me if I would still return if they didn't provide power. And my first response was yes. And then how much of that is your budget? And like, I've had this opinion for a couple of years now of, hey, look, I'd be willing to bet that if you told teams, hey, look, I'm going to not provide power and I'm going to add $4,000 as a total payout, I bet teams would still come. I said, teams don't. There are a lot of teams that have their own generators because sometimes, right, the power is always reliable and so forth. So a lot of us already have generators. And then second, man, I can't believe how much power costs for these events. I mean, that event specifically told me it was over $10,000.
I believe it. I mean, one, they're beholden. There's only certain companies that can supply that. And so they're stuck with whatever they're going to charge to run that stuff. So I am not surprised at all. And you're right. Unless you are strictly a canopy team, we've all got a generator. There's times where there's a couple of comps around Kansas City, they provide power, but I can tell you, you got 10 teams plugging into the same pole, it ain't going to run everybody's stuff. So more times than not, I bring my generator just in case, unless it's a campground. That's the only time I trust the power.
Right.
You know, so no, that's a good point though. But to the people's choice thing, and I agree. I'm actually somebody I've been successful. I think I've gotten top 5, top 3 calls at every People's Choice I've done. And it's one of those things though, but you're right. If the only thing to consider is I always ask, I'm like, just can you, 2 things. One, I won't do one if it's not a blind box. I don't get into the local guy because everybody goes up and to their table and votes for him. That's a waste of my time. But the other one is, please try to do it on a Friday night, or it's something that I can let it ride, and I'll bring an extra pellet cooker and throw it on my bullseye and just let it ride until after brisket's done or something like that, and then turn it in or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
just try to make it as advantageous for the teams, and then I think you can get a few that'll do that. Yeah.
So we're headed down to Lebanon this weekend for the Wells Cup, and we're going to do the chicken burn, the rib burn, and the molasses ancillary on Friday night.
Yeah.
That's right. Did anyone respond to your post about the molasses recipes?
I got a lot of messages. So
how many were useful?
A few, definitely a few. I'm gonna do a test run tomorrow, and then we're gonna give it a shot. So I think I may have something going that may have won somewhere else before or done well. So
Good.
we're gonna see if I can bake or something. I'm more of like a meat and potatoes guy.
Yeah, you like your desserts. Come on, Dan. Come on now.
Maybe a no-bake cheesecake. Actually I do cook a pretty good chocolate chip cheesecake. But I'm not really into the, I don't know, like making it fancy.
Yeah.
So anyways, we'll do it up and see what happens. There was no way I wasn't going to take a shot at, $3,000 for first and 7,000 overall for the ancillary.
Yeah. You got to do the side stuff. I love those. Those are they can really be some of the best categories because now you're really playing with certain ways to recreate it and put it in the judge's hands.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm all for doing that stuff as long as it's not on the main comp day. I've made some, I end up getting too concentrated on whatever that 230 turn in is and, miss a step in my first 4. And that's ultimately why I'm there. Right. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. I was going to send you a picture of grandma's molasses jar.
Yeah. I just picked some up the other day when I was doing a little bit of rib searching.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So let's, so are you still cooking on the same drums? Do you have new drum? What are you cooking on these days?
Nope. So right now I'm cooking on all gateways. So I slowly made the move over to some gateways, and with having a smoke ring barbecue supply now in my backyard and having gateways a little bit closer to home, I running on a couple gateways, and Mr. Professional Drum Refinisher Lane York redid one of my. So if anybody needs a drum redone,
whoa. I'm in line next.
But Lane said he's not doing this as a profession.
Yeah, that's what he says.
That's what Lane. Lane. He says that, but he really doesn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's like 8 cooks in on their drums now.
Right. Yeah.
He still has to finish. His trailer. He still doesn't have his mini split hooked up. Summer's here, Lane.
Yeah. But so he refinished one for me, and then right now I'm actually cooking chicken on a 30-gallon.
Are you? Okay.
So a challenge that Ryan from Only Cans and I gave ourselves last year with the foul form was to trim 8, cook 8. So we're actually only cooking 8 pieces. So we're only just using 1/2 pan. So I'm just using a 30-gallon right now and cooking 8 pieces of chicken and turning in 6.
So without giving away secrets, what do you weigh your chicken before you cook?
So I weigh my chicken after I trim.
After you trim. Okay, that's what I meant, I guess.
Yeah, and so I don't really necessarily care about a specific weight. I just make sure that all of them are pretty close. So like if I happen to get some smaller Springer Mountain Farms chicken thighs that week, then I'm going to run a little bit smaller chicken thighs. If I get bigger ones, then I'm going to run a little bit bigger ones. My little tip, I guess, for weighing is I actually weigh in grams, and that just allows me to get that number closer because of using a smaller unit versus, 1 decimal on an ounce.
Yep.
I probably like about 125, 130 grams. If I remember correctly, I think that's around a 4 ounce.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's 4, maybe tad over, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Ideally, that's what I like to run. I've ran a little bit. I've ran larger. I've ran 5 ounce thighs before, and I ran a bit smaller. But that's probably where I like to go. But honestly, I just cook whatever the packs give me.
Sure.
I typically buy 3-4 packs a week. I trim up to 12, and I kind of choose my closest 8. Unfortunately, not all of them trim out. Maybe I rip a skin or, just something just not usable out of the package. But for the most part, I've been kind of getting away with, grabbing 3-4 packs and sending them.
Well, honestly, at that weight range goal you're looking for, and it makes in the end too. I'm just looking for, are they all close enough together, because they'll all cook then evenly is the goal. That's really now mine. I'm a six point. I measure in the ounces, but 6.0 to 6.3. So I'm much bigger weight wise, which will affect cook time. But it's harder to find those that you can get to that.
Right.
I end up with a lot that I might as well just cook at 4.5. Believe me, those are on the shelf and they're marked so my wife knows. Eat at home.
Yeah.
We don't need to buy chicken at home ever. I have thighs all the time. You mentioned it. Ryan's awesome creation, that foul form. I mean, just freaking genius idea. We've all gone through, at least I have. I've gone through muffin tins and all this other stuff early on, and everything just, I quit using it after like one cook because I'm like, that's a nightmare to clean, all kinds of stuff. But that foul form, I mean, the guy is genius. He created those. I love the idea of it. Talk about how you cook with that for those that haven't used it or whatever. Talk about the process, because I've seen a few people question. Just talk about how you use it in your cook.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been one of the early adopters of the foul form. I remember Ryan brought it to me in April of 23-ish. And honestly, I started using it from there. I actually own 2 of them because I used to run 16 thighs, and then finally became confident enough, to only run the 8 now. But yeah, I mean, super simple to put together. Ryan actually has a little YouTube video that's actually on the package when you do buy it. That shows you how to put it together. So it's basically, it's got some slots. Anyways, once you put it together, it fits perfectly in a half pan. I believe some guys have discovered that 2 of them fit in a specific pan from Walmart. There's some posts about that specific pan. Ryan actually has a foul form community page, I believe, that you can go to and talk to others that are running it, or answer or ask questions. If you're thinking about trying the foul form. But it sets right in a half pan. My 8 thighs kind of go into the little slots. And I personally start with butter, kind of around the edge. So the way it's designed between the dividers and the wall of the pan, you can place some butter there. At least from my experience, if I put butter directly onto freshly seasoned chicken, it just washes away the seasoning, and you can kind of have some blotchiness. Not a great appearance. So that's kind of why we put it on the outside. And yeah, it goes on the drum just like that. And after a period of time, once my kind of rub is set, I'll actually then kind of do my butter bath phase or my wrap phase with chicken. There's kind of some back and forth on whether you need to pull the form or not pull the form. Some guys do, some guys don't. And then, yeah, I mean, your chicken's basically, held within that shape, right? That's the idea, is just to kind of help maintain it shape. At the end of the day, you still need to have a pretty decent trim on your chicken. The idea is just so that while you're in that initial while you're in that cooker for the for the first little bit, that you're kind of setting that form, because right as the chicken warms up, right, it's gonna slowly just kind of like just as if it's sat on your counter, right, you got this nice perky thigh sitting there perfectly rolled out of your cellophane or whatever you do, and then you sit there and it's getting warm, and all of a sudden it just like that's what the foul form is helping it not do, is it's keeping it within that that exact spot. So
Essentially it's the brisket caddy for the chicken.
Yeah.
Actually, and if you check out my page from back in April, I actually did some meatloaf in foul form, and I actually turned that in an ancillary, and I think got 4th place. So I did some mini meatloafs, and then I believe I saw somebody do it with turkey breast.
Huh.
Just kind of took of the piece and did their turkey smoke with it. So yeah, multiple applications. It's
it's interesting how you talk about and I know we're kind of stuck on this foul form, but essentially when you're talking about how chicken just kind of anything, it just softens up and it kind of goes blah, but it's going to keep it kind of plump into that basic form. Same thing as the brisket caddy. But so I guess this was probably 3 years ago. I was in St. Louis. We had hired my company I worked for. We hired a new guy, and I was over doing some training. And I took him to Schaefer's restaurant, Heavy Smoke, in St. Peter's. We went there, and Chris happened to be there. I shot a message. Yep. He showed us around the restaurant. We just sat there talking. It's funny. This new guy's listening to Chris and I talk about barbecue for like an hour and a half. And it's just like, you guys are nuts. And Chris and I both got on this topic. I don't know where it came from. I think he brought it up first. But he said he'd been playing with it. And I had always thought in my head, because we all use thighs with the bone. And I'm like, man, if you could get a boneless chicken breast and cook it right. And Chris, I remember that topic came. Chris like, man, I've thought about, trimming it right and using the skin from the thigh, so you got all that fat and everything. All of a sudden, it just clicked in my head as you were describing, like, man, I wonder if you could trim a chicken breast to that size, fit in there. I wonder how it'd probably look really unnatural though. It'd go to the cupcakes that Myron Mixon did back in the day. So might be a little too squarish.
Yeah, I think I'll be running dark meat for quite some time. There's just a bit more forgiveness there, in my opinion.
They are, but man, if you can get a chicken breast just right, you get that juiciness. That's everybody's cooking that for turkey. So just an idea. So I'll let Brian be that guinea pig.
Right.
Let's spend his money on that.
Yeah, thanks. Might as well, I will. I'll try it.
Kind of, you mentioned them once or twice. You've got a great relationship with Smoke Ring Barbecue. Are they in St. Louis, or what city are they in over there?
They're technically in St. Peters, Missouri, which is just 14 minutes from the river. Yeah, it's
okay.
Right by Chris Schaefer. Not
Okay. Well, talk about Smoke Ring. I haven't been over that way since they opened, so I haven't been able to get in there and check them out. But talk about Smoke Ring and what you're doing there. I know you've done some cool collaboration with them and everything.
Yeah. So Smoke Ring Barbecue Supplies, kind of a newer barbecue specialty store that came out in St. Peters, Missouri. They just celebrated their 1-year anniversary in April. So Jerry and Nancy are the owners, and at the end of the day, that there's no place friendlier in the area to go and get your grills and seasonings and supplies. They're carrying Smoking Brothers pellet grills right out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. They're carrying Gateway Drum Smokers, now also out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And they were one of the first locations here in the area to have RecTech. So they've been running RecTech now for over a year. There for a while, right? You could only buy RecTech directly from RecTech, and Jerry was pretty adamant with RecTech of, man, I really want to carry your grills, and they kind of rolled out a dealer thing, and that's kind of blown up So they're also carrying RecTech as well. We launched what I call the King of the Cul-de-Sac Barbecue School. So we've been doing a whole line of barbecue classes over the last year or so. Stuff from as simple as how to use a pellet grill to how to use a drum smoker to stop winging it. We taught them how to cook just chicken wings. I've done steak classes. I actually have a steak class on Wednesday that like sold out 2 days. The classes are super popular right now. People they want to learn, right? Going out to eat is getting crazy expensive. I mean, it was already expensive before. I mean, even for me to take my family a 5 out is just ridiculous. And half the time, I'm not even happy with the stuff that I'm getting just because of the way I now prefer my comp style food and my own, my own cooking. So it's kind of hard for us to go out, but man, people really want to learn, and they really want to learn from somebody that they, either admire or look up to. So that's been a blast. Obviously, I'm a pretty big people person. I'll talk to the wall. And it's not talking like just about myself, right? It's just sharing my experiences, sharing just kind of what's in my head, where my thought process is. And at the end of the day, I want them to be the king of the cul-de-sac, right? So that's kind of what we've launched kind of through Smoke Ring. It's a great store. I know they're working on some of their online presence and things. They've, doing some shipping and, getting in some good products. And again, like I said, educating people. I mean, every class, there's multiple repeats, right? Somebody that just took, I did a taco class right before Cinco de Mayo. I did beef cheek tacos, and people are like, holy cow. Like I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever had beef cheek, but
oh yeah,
it is lights out. And I mean, these people in the class were like, wow, like I had no idea, right? And they're like, man, I can't wait to go home and do this. And of course, I'm in the store like trimming it up a bit, and I'm like, kind of giving Nancy trouble. I'm like, oh, look here, Nancy, here's the eyeball, and just like stuff like that, because they're not very appetizing looking, right? Pre-cooked. But yeah, no, just kind of doing some different classes, trying to educate people, make them a better cook, show them, products and how you can use them, introducing them to injecting, right? More than what they're just seeing on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. There's some great content channels out there. Obviously, guys, right? Like Heath Riles is a great YouTube. There's always BBQ, right? There's lots of content out there, but there's also one thing, like seeing it in front of you and tasting it. My goal is to, we want to kind of do, we're trying to figure out how to do like a hands-on, so just kind of do like a hands-on thing, or at least like, okay, now you have your rack of ribs prepped. Now just, go home and, hey, if you got a pellet cooker, do this. Hey, if you got a old stick burner, do this. Been having fun with the classes, and I'm part of Team Smoke Ring. We have several competition teams now on that, and just kind of trying to help the store continue to grow, because man, we really need a store like that in this area. Yes, there are some other supply stores, but man, I gotta be honest, not exactly customer service focused. So got one area now, and hopefully continue to watch them grow, and continue to help them build their brand as I can, and represent them to my best of ability.
Well, I know you and some of the other teams that are part of Team Smoke Ring. I friends with, and you guys all speak so highly of them, and I see there's things that get promoted online and everything. So I'm impressed what they've done in the just in a year's time. They've really jumped into it the right way. So that's awesome. That's good.
Yep. Yeah, they definitely have their heart into it. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I've even heard stories of, guys like, placing an order, and then like an hour later remembering, oh crap, I forgot to also order this. And then Nancy sees that there's 2 orders at the same place, and, combine shipping and refunds the other shipping, or finds a cheaper shipping because, the online things charge you 14 and it really only cost her 8, and, she refunds you. it's little stuff like that, so she is 100% customer focused and listens to the customers. The customers come in and say, hey, I want, hey, I could really use this. Like, okay, well, you know what, if I continue to hear the same things, and we believe in the product as well. That's the other thing I really admire about that store, is that they really truly believe and like the products that they're selling. They don't just have a seasoning on the wall or a sauce on the wall because of who or what it is. They cook and try every single thing. I mean, even down to, hey guys, I'd really like to do a beef cheek taco class. Okay, well, maybe can you give us a sample of your beef cheek tacos so we can, right? And that's the same way I am about, like my brand and like Take It Easy Barbecue, right? Like you want to control the brand image. So, you want to put out like right. We want at these classes, we want them to come in and have the best food they've ever had. We want the best rib, the best steak, just like in competition barbecue, right? We want, I mean, like when they have, when normal Joes have our competition barbecue, right? It should be the best, right? So I'm just trying to correlate some of that back into the, hey guys, this is what you can do at home to make, right?
Well, and
happy.
One of the things that I always thought was the most rewarding part of doing a class is when you get text or emails from somebody who took your class and they're like, man, look at these ribs that I cooked for my family or whatever, or I did this. That is the coolest thing right there. Just because their family loved it, it worked for the graduation party or whatever it was. That's always the most fun part right there, I think, because they're proud of what they did. You helped them figure out how to do it, so it made them happy. So
helped them up their game.
Yeah, I think the steak class I actually did pork steaks and beef steaks. And one of the students, actually, I think the class was on a Saturday. On Sunday, he wrote me and he's like, dude, I followed exactly what you said in the pork steaks, man. They were lights out, and he really enjoyed them, and his family enjoyed them. And it's definitely rewarding to to hear guys that you taught. And I mean, I'm sure it would be that way too, should comp classes ever come out, for me to to help somebody's success. And I did do one comp class. I just did ribs, and I think Ryan did chicken in that same class. And we had a few attendees, and I mean, one of the local guys here that took it, he's been doing well in both of those categories. And now people really want a rib class right now from Take It Easy Barbecue. And it's we're now in the season, so we're going to keep running.
Was it Jim Messina?
I think no, it was not Jim, but
I just had to ask because when he just went back-to-back GCs in his comps, it was like, what the heck?
Yeah. He's I mean, the first Clinton County that we ever cooked, and we GC'd, and his wife RGC'd right behind us. So from that point on, I knew he was going to be a contender and a problem kind of week in and week out. So I think we'll be cooking in a couple weeks with them in Smithton, Illinois, for an SLBS contest. But
I need to ask, talk about the craziest experience you've had with the Stooges. That you can say on camera.
And I definitely had my fair share of late nights. Definitely not as late as sometimes as they go. I will never forget trekking for CDH last year. I think that's when somebody temp checked the drum. But I think I actually woke up kind of before that happened. So my trailer was kind of back behind theirs, and whatever I had to get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and go to the bathroom. Whether I try and overhydrate like right before I go to bed because I'm afraid to get cramps, because I typically get cramps just from being up on my feet all day and running around and everything else. And anyways, I happened to get up, and of course I heard some commotion kind of going on. I'm like, okay, like what's going on? So I walked over to that way, and Chris Flanders and Virgil Little Pickle from Bumpy Pickle, they were both kind of one leg up on the side of the park bench and just listening to music and having a good old time at 2:30 in the morning. Just, really feeling it. And next thing I knew, when I woke up at 5:30 to start lighting the drums, I saw some other videos, and man, somebody was really hurting. Yeah,
Oh, whole
yeah.
thumper.
You know, they're a great group of guys. I mean, Jason's helped me change a tire on the trailer, and
Uh-huh.
brought me over a bunch of wood blocks and stuff to kind of help stabilize the trailer when we were at a site one time where my back end was just really close to the ground and I couldn't get like my jacks, kind of under there. And they'll do anything for you. They're great cooks, and I mean I'm
Good
glad that
guys.
they're able to function the way they do after some of the later evenings. You know,
Uh,
I have, knock on wood, any evenings that I've potentially stayed up a bit too late. I've somehow figured it out the next day, but that's not my jam.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm almost too old for that anymore. So I always say that one day when I GC and I get to cook the invitational at the Royal, I will not be partaking in the big Friday night party that I do with the Elvises and those guys. It'll be like, guys, it's 10 o'clock. See ya. I'm going to bed. So um, I
Yeah,
watched Irwin's try and do it the one year, and it was a little rough on him. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's talk about something that's kind of cool that you've done. You talked about how you've gotten judging, with just that's how you got into barbecue and stuff. But you've experienced the ability to judge one of the biggest competitions in the world. That's a unique one. But you got into judging. What you've done? I think you judged at least 2 years in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong. Memphis and May. Um,
yep,
Talk about how long you judged there, and then how you got into that. Is that something you sign up for, or what? Is it a lottery? Talk. That just sounds really cool to me.
yeah. So I got into judging Memphis in May a few years ago. So I went down and judged in 2023 and in 2024. So in
Okay.
2023, so I applied to judge, and by that I had to go down and take a class. Um, you know,
Oh,
the Memphis
really?
judging class. It was actually down in Memphis,
Mhm.
uh, probably in November ish, like before that year's Memphis in May. And yeah, we talked about some of the obviously their rules and the scorecards and things we look for, and then you actually have to take a test, and you have to get over a certain score on the test. uh,
Oh, okay.
to become a trained Memphis and May barbecue judge. And then actually we had a presentation there at it for, to kind of gear us up for the on-site presentation part of judging. Should you get chosen to do an on-site judging, and actually a good friend Heath Riles was actually there, and he
Yeah.
did he did a shoulder presentation. So
Okay.
yeah, he did a shoulder presentation. And um, yeah, so I took the judge class, and then I then applied to judge Memphis in May in 2023. Was accepted to judge and went down. And the first day I actually judged all three sauces. So I judged mustard sauce, tangy sauce, and tomato sauce. And then I actually ended up judging turkey also that first day. And then I ate some of the hot wings off of the extra table. And yeah, it was a fun-filled day. And I had a great time down there. Officially met a gentleman, Dustin Davis from Q into 662 down there. That was
Okay.
and he had recognized me as Take It Easy Barbecue and part of Team Heath Riles, my rookie season.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, he took me around, showed me to a lot of the teams. I met Will Hare from Smoke Masters Barbecue. He won Smoke Slam last year.
Yeah.
Met him. He took a lot of care, good care of me. Met Meat Whiskey Boys down there. Saw them. And anyways, yeah, had a great time. And so anyways, that was kind of Thursday, Friday. I ended up judging a couple categories. I believe I judged seafood and um it might have been like seafood and poultry that day for the anything but day. So there's four categories on the second day, and it's poultry, beef, exotic, and seafood. So yeah, judge those. And then Saturday, I luckily got chosen to judge on-site ribs, which was an experience.
Oh, wow.
came back and, I'm not exactly a small person and they kind of needed some help. So I came back and judged blind box whole hog.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Oh,
yeah, so I had a heck of a first year to judge down there, and definitely
no kidding.
really good food, and got to know a lot of people. But
Is that pretty unusual to get chosen like out of the box as a rookie the first year, or is it? Do they typically have the same people every year, and it's just an opening every now and then, or do you even know?
no, so I feel like that they need judges. So like, especially with kind of what's going on down there with Memphis, between Memphis and May and Smoke Slam, and not as many
Yeah.
teams and that as at the other, right? That's the same amount of teams and probably the same amount of judges split between two different contests. So,
Yeah.
if you're interested in judging something like Memphis and May, I definitely recommend you, look on the website whenever the class is going to come up. Go take the class, then apply to judge. You'll likely get accepted. It also depends on what your availability is, right? So within the application, you check, hey, I could be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or only Friday, you know.
Okay.
But like last year, I actually only judged Thursday. I only judged Thursday and the morning of Friday. I judged one category and then I left. We actually had an SLBS contest that weekend in Smithton, the one that I'll be cooking in 2 weeks. I had that contest that weekend, and I was running for points. I didn't want to miss an SLBS contest, so I left Memphis early and went right into Smithton, and had a couple seventh place chicken and rib call and went 14th overall out of 20. It wasn't a great outing, but
Yeah.
got back and then somehow got lucky enough to be involved with Memphis and May a bit different this year, and
Yeah.
man.
Talk. Well,
Tell us about that.
talk about that because you're still on cloud nine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting day at work, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, long story short, I was fortunate enough to be asked to join Team Heath Riles Barbecue this Memphis in May, and so I went down on Wednesday, and got back kind of yesterday mid afternoon, and helped with various aspects of the entire weekend. We had some VIP type things that we had to take care of, some vendor relationships we needed to feed, and we also had an on the street kind of booth area where we were doing some PR stuff and feeding the public some samples that we were cooking up. We were donated some chicken from Springer Mountain Farms, had some sausages from Cordy Meat Processing that we brought down that is actually seasoned with Heath Riles garlic jalapeno seasoning and smoked Gouda cheese.
Yeah.
Absolutely lights out. Anyways, we did a bunch of just kind of odds and end cooking, just hands-on stuff with between the ancillaries, and just kind of helped out anywhere we could, and arrived at the park Saturday morning at 4 a.m. and started working through the rib process, and I personally helped Heath wrap some of the ribs, and it was quite the ride. Made it through preliminaries to only hear the golf cart arrive to tell us that we went to finals, and it was just unreal watching that kind of unfold in front of me, right? Watching Heath and Candace and Mitchell and the rest of the crew kind of all celebrate that we finaled, and then it was go time after that. I watched, obviously, from afar, watching part of the finals presentation, and then it was off to awards, and fortunate enough to not only win ribs and get to walk the stage for that, but man, to be called grand champion, there with Heath, and kind of see all his hard work, and the entire team's tireless. It was 3 days of hustle and bustle. Certainly no vacation for anyone. I mean, I had never been as tired as I was this weekend, and in a long time. Honestly, it was probably more tiring than whenever I've cooked a double by myself.
Yeah.
Just insane, and an experience that I'll never forget. And as I posted online, man, I will be forever in debt to Heath and Candace and Mitchell for including me. And I never thought that I'd be standing there at my third year into competition barbecue, part of a world championship team, Obviously definitely a very small part, but man, it took all 20 plus of us to get this thing done. There's so much detail. There's so much stuff going on in the tents. Um, yeah, I mean, what an experience.
But it's even what leads up to before those 3 days. There's so much prep I can only imagine that goes on before that. Just because there's all the different categories, it's different than even all the three majors that I always hear everybody talk about. Each one is so unique and different.
Yeah.
The American Royal is just in a way it's an elevated typical competition that we all do with the four meets, but it's elevated with the number of teams there, the prestiges of the teams from all around the country. Then you have Memphis in May. There's the whole presentation aspect for all the categories, and just it's I don't know. It's just I can't even imagine everything that goes into it in the prep. And for somebody like Heath Rouse, who's been doing that for years and he understands that process, it's still probably intense for him going through that. So that's really cool. You had the opportunity just to be there for it and just to see it.
Yeah. Yep. No, it was. Yeah. No, a great time, and I certainly, certainly hope I get the opportunity to go back, to go back next year, and yeah, no, it's something I always remember, and just yeah, no, met a lot of great people too this weekend. Some guys that I'd kind of known online but hadn't really officially met, and stayed in the house with 5 or 6 of them, and we all cracked up and made plenty of jokes about milk and all kinds of stuff, this weekend. But
yeah.
Yeah, no, something I'll definitely always remember, and another feeling that I'll always chase. Right, it's kind of like, I don't know, that first place, category win, or that first GC. Right, and now, right, I've been on one of the largest, stages in the barbecue world. With, I mean, my biggest mentor, and like, I mean, the guy that I ultimately, look up to, and I represent his brand and everything else, and it was just unreal. It was definitely one of those things. It's like, how in the world did I get this opportunity, right? And then for the stars to align, the rib, I don't know, the rib man needed it, right? He's been working his butt off. I think it was 3 rib championships in 4 years ultimately, and yeah, no, we'll see what's next. But yeah, no, it was quite an experience. If you've never made it down to Memphis in May, whether I mean, judging on a team just as a spectator, it's not like now they got like a youth thing going. We had 2 local here, Dom and Jesse. They came down, and
that was cool to see those guys get that, man. That's awesome.
Yep, I think they end up with a 4th place stake. And there's lots of stuff going on down there, and man, it gets you out of your comfort zone. I would say I believe a lot of the teams are cooking baby backs, so practice up your baby backs, whether it's for Rib Cook-Off Association or if it's for Memphis in May. And actually they did steak cook-off. They did an SCA this year too, 125 teams. Heath Bledsecker was the Heath Riles team representative for that, and he actually walked away with the 7th place steak. So
cool.
That was pretty cool. And yeah, 125 SCA team cook. So lots of stuff to do down there. There's lots of people in barbecue that are involved somewhere or another, whether it's on, in that kind of helper spot like I was on a team, and or band together and cook it, right? There's also a worker division, which is just ribs only, and you can do all the ancillaries, but like it's not a shoulder or not a hog. So there is some ways to kind of get involved and do that contest. I definitely recommend at least going down there as a spectator, if anything.
Well, I think I told you when I reached out to you, it had always been on my bucket list to go just walk around and check it out. And one of my customers, Aubrey Tucker, he lives there in Memphis, and he's always cooked it every year. He's done a lot of the ancillaries and this and that. And I don't think he'd ever gotten a call at all. And he's always told me, hey, you want to come down? You can hang out. And I was like, well, I'll watch this. I had to work it out, figure out timing wise. And heck, this year he got 4 calls. So pretty cool for him. He did that. But now that the rib, I did one rib cook-off association event. And I got first place in ribs, which
Yeah.
that was when when they called my number, I was like, "Are you shitting me?" Everybody started laughing. But now they have the association with Memphis in May, so I qualify for next year. So I'm trying to figure out details. That's a whole nother, that's, I was like, I'll be picking your brain and some other people's brains. And I didn't know everybody's cooking baby backs. That's a whole nother thing then. So that's interesting. But trying to figure out, how much money Brian's going to pay to join the team and whomever else. So not a cheap event, Brian. So
Brian cooks baby backs.
Yeah. I mean, I've only cooked baby backs in contests 2 times in my life. One of them was a meat provided contest, and I had no idea what I was doing, and just cooked them. And thankfully, I think I got a 3rd place call or something. It was like 10 or 12 teams, kind of an unsanctioned deal. And then, actually, one of the unique things that I thought was really cool, that I thought was exciting for the whole rib cook-off association, is, hey, if you want to be the world champion of the rib cook-off, you got to know how to cook both spares and baby backs. So when I went to the world championship in Shawnee, Oklahoma back in January, after getting the invite for that, I had to cook spares, had to cook baby backs. I actually had I believe it was a 5th place. No, sorry, a 6th place baby back call, or an 8th place. Sorry, it's all running together at the moment. But anyways, I had a baby back top 10 call, no call in spares, but I think they were 13th, and then end up 5th overall out of 112 or 114 teams down there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, feedback program. I'm not going to lie, it apparently is fairly close to what Heath Riles just won with this weekend. So just pay attention to his content, and I mean the recipe's out there. It's not. I mean, he's literally showing what it is, and I think, if anything, this weekend truly showed me it's a tenderness game right now. So many rubs, and our flavors are all very similar, as long as you're not doing anything off the wall. That it's gonna taste good, but how does that tenderness kind of aid into that taste score, and kind of help you be at the top? Because the from the process that I saw, it's like, man, it definitely solidified in my mind of what a couple of mentors have been telling me is, they've been telling me, keep it stupid simple, and it was, I mean, 2 rubs, and I mean, it's all on his YouTube. So
no, that's awesome. So what's next on Dan's bucket list, I guess, so to speak? Do you have a bucket list, or you just gonna keep doing what you're doing, enjoying it? What's going on, man?
Man, when I was on Tailgate, guys, probably a couple months ago, right before the season kicked off, I listed off some of my goals, at least for this year, and man, I somehow achieved like half of those things, like in the first month. Right now it's just I want to continue to be, I want to continue to make things interesting, right? I'm still, I still consider myself as kind of under the radar, and just kind of the newcomer that, but stuff's, I don't know. So somehow stuff's kind of lining up. So I'm just gonna keep running it. One of the goals for this year, actually, right now, that's kind of come about just because of some recent successes, is to try and make sure I'm in that top 20, top 25 ribs in the country, and the yes. So I have some strong scores behind me. I got a couple opportunities this weekend down in Lebanon to add some more points. And just continue to cook, continue to be competitive, and the other main thing for me is consistency. Right now, ribs and brisket are pretty consistent for me. Chicken, for whatever reason, well, I mean, honestly, I think it's chicken right now isn't scoring well for me, isn't scoring well enough, because chicken scores are just
through the roof
high. I think that a 174 in an 80 team contest, you're down in the 30s or 40s. So, I did walk away with a 180 earlier this year. But right now that's the exception. So I'm kind of waiting to do that again, and hopefully chicken will come back on. Pork. I might have something right now that's working on pork. I had a 10th place call out at smoking the spring out in Osage City, Kansas. Obviously a tough field out there, 90 something team.
Yeah.
Just trying to remain competitive, keep keep moving forward. And yeah, I mean, right now I'm trying to cook some bigger contests as well. That's kind of why I'm doing this Wells Cup and prepare myself for the Royal too. I ended up qualifying for the Royal last year in November, so just kind of gearing up for that and trying to make sure that man, when the possible World Championship or something, an audit of the Jag, something like that, if that ever arises within my reach, that I'm ready to. So yeah, it's right now I was just I'm gonna keep cooking for as long as I can until my wife tells me I need to take a week off. I think I'm set up for 5 or 6 right now in a row, which I started the year with that way. Took off a couple weeks just between Easter, and I had some a wedding and stuff like that, and then obviously Memphis in May. So yeah, we're gonna run it here for 5-6 weeks, and we got some SLBS contests here. We got about 3 of them here within the next month, and I'm going to travel to Indiana and do that Hoosier barbecue contest.
Yeah,
I'm going to go do that here at the front end of June, and I signed up for Murfreesboro this year, so I'm going to go down there and see if
it's another bucket list one to at least go see. But yeah.
That I mean, that was kind of a thing I'd set in my head at the beginning of the year. It was like, you know what, I want to go chase a couple specific trophies. Another one I signed up for, and I always say it wrong. Excelsior Springs.
Excelsior Springs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excelsior Springs. Airplane, baby.
Airplane. The airplane.
Yeah. So I signed up for that contest. Signed up for Murfreesboro. I really wanted to do Pusa Q. Man, those trophies are unreal.
Yeah, those are amazing.
I can't get down there that weekend. I think we have something a bit closer. So, yeah, I did sign up for the Eureka, Illinois contest. That contest is back this year. I believe there's some pretty cool kind of hand-engraved pig, I believe, at the top. But yeah, no, just gonna, like I said, just gonna keep cooking. Hopefully luck will continue to follow me, and we'll continue to make some waves.
Cool.
I have the nickname right now, apparently, of the Lucky Rock Rib Prince that apparently came out in one of the reels that the Heath Rouse media team did this weekend. That's what Mitchell Bidwell called me. So yeah, I'm at this point, but we'll see what happens. We'll keep running them, and yeah, I don't know if stuff keeps going. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll do a rib class at the end of the year, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we're over a little bit of an hour. You have any? I know you've called out a few sponsors. You want to recognize your sponsors for supporting you?
Yeah, obviously, Heath Rouse Barbecue, has been with me for 3 years now. Took a chance on me before ever even lighting up a pit in a competition, and it's worked out well. I think for both of us. Smoke Ring Barbecue Supply. Obviously the go-to for me for any supplies that I need, and grills and classes and everything else. Even if you're just hungry, you can go there. I'm sure Jerry's cooking up something. He's always cooking up something there. Springer Mountain Farms, I mentioned them earlier. This is my 2nd year with them. So yeah, I've been running their chicken for several years now, but officially on their chicken Q crew for the 2nd year. Cheney Windows and Doors, a local window company here. They're kind of my one of my major sponsors right now. That's kind of helping me, continue to run this trail. And the Good Charcoal Company, which I believe both of you guys are affiliated with. Yeah,
only burn the best, baby.
Yep. Yeah, I came on last year with them, kind of as a super briquette ambassador, and just continued building relationship with Aiden and Rob and Sam over there, and got a contract this year for some lump, and so yeah, we've been doing well with that. And actually I got Pleasant Hill High School, the Rooster Barbecue team that I went out and did a little class with. I actually got them hooked up with some good charcoal recently too. So it's been good to us and been doing well with it. I guess another one I'd like to mention is Blue Hive Honey. So Blue Hive Honey, I've been working with them for 3 years now. Obviously, a little bit of sweetness in the old wrap never does bad, and especially when it's local honey. So yeah, we've been running all that, and it's been great having having these brands behind me, and helping us reach our dreams of hopefully someday not only being on a world championship team, but Take It Easy Barbecue being being a world champion. I would like to touch on that high school deal if we could real quick.
Yeah.
So we all know high school barbecue kind of seems to be coming, right? Texas has their own huge showing there, and we have some teams in Kansas. We have some teams, I believe, in Oklahoma and Missouri as well. And Heath Browse this year actually picked up Pleasant Hill. The Rooster Barbecue picked them up this year to sponsor them, and I was actually asked, by the Heath Browse brand to go out there and kind of do a day class with them to help show them kind of how to use the Heath Browse barbecue products and flavor profiles and just techniques, just some different ways to use the products. And so I went out there and we actually did a class specifically on ribs, not sure why, and then steak. So so we trimmed up, I don't know, I think we did 12 or 13 racks of ribs, which that's all meat provided for these kids, man. They they get chick. I think this year's they have 6 categories. I believe this year they have to do lollipop chicken.
Yep.
They have grilled cheese, chili, brisket flat, and
what was the other one? What was the other one, Brian? We interviewed the coaches.
Ribs, lollipop, grilled cheese, steak, brisket flat.
Yeah, steak's the other one.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot you guys interviewed them like the week I went out there. And
because they were supposed to shave your beard.
The high school thing is, really cool. And Tyler, the coach over there, him and I have been talking, pretty often. And they actually cooked the Missouri State contest last Monday, and I believe their sophomore team came in 4th overall. Had a pretty good showing. I know another team came in 10th, and I want to say another team came in 7th or 8th. So, the high school itself had three separate teams.
Yeah.
But man, that was an experience. And man, when we were working through our rib process that I was teaching them, and we were kind of in the wrap phase, and we were starting to check them for, tenderness and to pull them, one of the kids turned to Tyler, the coach, and goes, "Man, we're gonna win ribs this year." Man, he was just so they couldn't believe some of the flavors and things that we were getting out of the ribs, and just some of the just simple techniques that I kind of, I guess, took for granted that everybody was doing, right? But somebody taught me.
Exactly.
That was a great experience, especially just not only represent the Heath Browse brand, but to kind of give back to the youth. And now these all these kids are watching me and admiring me, trying to Tyler was texting me last Monday saying, "Man, they're like not even asking me what to do. They keep saying, wait, what did Dan say to do here? What did Dan, Dan say?"
I told Brian we've each done some classes for some high school teams. I'm like, here in 3-4 years, these kids are going to be out here whooping our butts, freaking in comps. The way they're going. I've seen what they can cook.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty amazing. And again, that's another one. It's cool to see that success. Cool to see what they're doing, and they always come back to him like, "You're still cooking it. You still got to cook it. I can give you all the recipes in the world you want, but you still got to cook it right, So it's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, it's a life skill, That's why I got my 7-year-old now. He's done some kids cues, and people are like, "Man," a family member specifically was like, "Man, is it too young to be doing competitive barbecue?" And right now I'm just seeing it as I'm teaching him a life skill, he's going to be so amped when he finally gets his, first call with the trophy and everything else. We're still, we're trying to learn how to just, cook on a grill. Let not dump seasoning all in one spot. So but if anything, he'll be able to eat more than ramen noodles when he goes off to college.
I was just gonna say he'll be everybody's best friend in college, So
Are you making your way down here for the high school nationals?
I believe that weekend, isn't that the 6th and 7th?
First weekend in June.
Yeah,
first week of June. Yeah,
first week.
Yeah. Unfortunately not. I will be. I'll have that contest in Indiana that weekend, and I'm not sure how much longer work's going to continue to let me
keep taking off.
So, I hear you.
Yeah. No, well, I'll just keep showing them pictures of the trophies. I was going to say bring them in, but I haven't brought any of them in. I've been taking them to the store. It's just, bring some credibility to the store. I don't have an open room at the house currently for us to, make some trophy room or things that people talk about. And I don't really want them just like sitting in a dark room and not ever looked at. Right. My kids, Adam, my 7-year-old always talks about, oh, Dad, I remember when you got this one, and man, that one's so big. And it was like a few weeks ago when I got first place 180 ribs down in Springfest, and I brought that trophy home, and it was taller than him. He was just, and I think I'm just excited, to have a chance to bring a trophy home to show my kids, and look what Dad did. So that was quite the conversation yesterday when I got home. He's like, so Dad, I heard you were helping some teams. How'd you guys do? And I'm like, well, Hate Rouse won the championship. He's like, sweet sauce.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Oh man.
So I tried showing him some videos and some pictures, and he obviously doesn't quite understand the magnitude of that stage, but he knows that we got some business done this weekend, and now Dad's off to the next one.
Yep.
There you go.
That's awesome.
So
anyway, cool. Well, hey Dan, it's great seeing you again. Great talking to you. Congratulations on everything and all your success everywhere. You're kicking butt. Just keep doing it, man. Just keep doing it. That's all you need to do, man. So.
Yep. Nope. Yeah, we're gonna keep running it, and then if it stops working, we're gonna keep running it again because it's not me, right? It's the judges.
Yep.
Exactly. That's always the problem.
That's it. Yep.
All right.
We'll see you at one of these contests.
Night, Dan.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Take it easy.
Bye. Yep.